Hi guys, it's me, Kathy, Mrs. HANDYRU. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're having a great day today. I want to apologize that I didn't go to the Truth Rally. I'm really sorry. I hope you guys aren't mad at me. Something came up and I couldn't go. But I'm making videos, so here I am. So anyway, I wanted to remind you guys that I'm on Telegram. And it's real Mrs. HANDYRU is just the main channel, but most people use what is it? Mrs. HANDYRU chit chat, like talking chit chat, and you can post there and talk to each other. So that's what most people like to do. And I'm also on Truth Social. I finally got on there, but it's so funny. I've been on there a little bit and nobody looks at it. Nobody looks at it. It's the most sad thing. Nobody likes things or shares. I feel so lonely. So anyway, I'm on Truth Social. And anyway, so what is my name on just Mrs. HANDYRU on Truth Social. So maybe most people just read things on Truth Social. Maybe they don't interact. I hope it's not just me, But anyway, so that's what's going on here. So I'm going to work on President Trump's rally from October 2nd. And I'm sorry I don't get to these things sooner, but, I'm always working on so many things at one time that it's not just a rally and then I get on. I'm usually working on, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, it was in Warren, Michigan. And Warren, this is all planned, you guys. Warren is 79. And and in case you're new, I'm doing simple gematria, same thing. And what it is Bible coding or decoding. And let's see how to explain it. A equals 1, so it's just a code. A equals 1 all the way through Z equals 26. And I use gematrix.org. And there's lots of ways you can do it. That's just what I've been doing lately. And sometimes I actually remember things and I don't have to look at it. So that's pretty exciting. I want that brain upgrade. And so you go to gematrix.org and you take a phrase. It could just be a simple phrase that you say all the time, or you hear President Trump say a phrase. It's on his Truth Social posts, something like that. Or it could be from a headline. So take a phrase or a word, something that jumps out to you. Enter it in the search bar at gematrix.org. And you'll come up with 3 choices. And it will be Jewish, English, and simple. And I always choose simple, although it doesn't mean you can't look at the other ones. And just see what the Holy Spirit's telling you to look at, or whatever you want to call the Holy Spirit. That's what I think it is, but you could call it whatever you want, intuition or something like that. And you can write notes like I do, or you can make notes in your phone. Keep track of what these numbers are. You'd probably save a lot of time if you put notes in your phone. I'm just not great with devices. I'm lucky I'm even recording this. So, okay. So that's what I'm doing. I'm listening to President Trump do a speech. And as he's speaking, I'm writing it down. And I'm writing down, not the whole speech, but I'm writing down certain phrases. Sometimes he says a phrase he said several times before, and I can write it down really quickly because I only need to write part of the phrase down. But sometimes it takes a little longer because he's saying something new. Especially when he repeats something, repeats a word, he most often repeats a phrase. And so I learned with By the Book and Strider Raven, when it used to just be called By the Book on YouTube. Now they're on Rumble. And they taught us to do it by phrasing or a key word. So anyway, back to what I was working on. Sorry. Warren Warren, Michigan. Warren is 79, and it equals prepare, basement, and laughing. In Michigan, it's 64, and that equals test, movie, and impeached. So I think, well, you know what I've been thinking, that he's going to get arrested. I mean, everybody's been thinking that lately, but I've been thinking that for a while. He's going to be arrested, but he's also going to look like he is gone in jail, like an Epstein situation. Sorry, I don't know why that focus just went. I wasn't even near the camera. Anyway, so I think everybody's going to be super crushed. I think that's probably going to happen. So it's not just jail. I think it looks like he's gone, and maybe even the whole family. I haven't looked into the whole family. It could look, because Juan has said previously, Juan O'Savin, he said ages ago, he said, you think if the bad guys had their way, that, you know, at that moment in time when he was talking, that they would, if they had a choice, they would wipe everybody out that was thinking like President Trump. And he said, and that includes you and me. And that was really something. I heard that a long time ago. And I'm thinking, whoa, we've put our necks out, literally. And anyway, this isn't going to be real. So when it looks like he's gone off the Earth plane, as Janine, our tarot by Janine says, he won't be. I just know it. For a while, I thought, well, maybe he really does get, you know, but I really don't think so. I think it's going to look like it, just like a lot of the fake things that we've seen. You know, fake stories. I mean, if you saw, well, anyway, I'm getting myself all talking ahead of myself. I did a video a little bit ago, and right in my little tiny town, we had an FF, you know, a false flappy thing, the thing that's on a flagpole. You know, we had one, and there was another one that I ran into, Mr. Handy and I ran into, and it's on the same video, in a little town right nearby. They're everywhere, these things. So if they're doing it in these little things, they're doing it in the big things, you know, like things like what I'm talking about with President Trump and maybe the family. So when you put Warren, Michigan together, it's 143, and that equals impeach Trump. Remember, he's always saying, oh, that what they want to do is impeach Trump. So that's kind of why he picked the town, or the city, I should say, for the rally. Let's see. So he came on stage, and he had a bunch of MAGA hats, you know, the red MAGA hats to throw out. And there were people behind him that, it was one of those rallies that will probably end up being a Clouseau video, because there was all kinds of people behind there signaling and doing odd things. One guy right about then had a cell phone, and he was turning it like this. Well, anyway, you know, making it flash at the camera. And that was all on purpose. I mean, he did it over and over again. So I don't know if it was for him or for somebody next to him. You know, I didn't recognize him, but, you know, it could be somebody at a different age even. Let's see. Oh, President Trump, of course, the first words that he said, it ended up being 717. And I think that's because he took a few minutes coming out and waving and he was throwing out the hats. And he goes, my, this is a big crowd. And just one my is 38, and that's OCT for this month, October. Yeah, okay. It equals be safe and rich. I don't know if it'll happen this month, but whatever. And daddy, because he's one of our dads, right? You can look at him that way. Okay, so we're going to be safe no matter what it looks like. No matter what, even if they're showing a tsunami wiping out the East Coast or the West Coast or whatever, you're going to be fine. Okay, my together is 76, and that equals I am ready. The plan, METEOR, like something coming in to destroy the planet, right? And safety. So you see all these bad things, but then you see things like safety. And you know, oh yeah, this is just so fake. Okay, this is a big crowd is 166. It equals The Big Bang Theory, New York nuked. I think it might look like that at some point, maybe not right away. And disinformation. Let's see. I'll probably, not everything is decoded, and I didn't even write everything down. You know how I do it. I mean, it would be so long if I did every single thing. And let's see. He said, he was talking about Hurricane Ian, and he said this was a big one. And to me, that was an earthquake reference, which I'll get into probably in the next video. And let's see, the a big one, not the big one. Let's see. And he said, right after that, he said, sometimes they say, meaning on the Weather Channel or things like that, sometimes they say the hurricane's coming and nothing happens. And to me, that's a reference for future events, like the big earthquake. It'll look like everything's flattened, or the nuclear war and all that stuff. I'm not going to spell stuff. I'm so tired of spelling everything. Whatever. If I get deleted, I'm on Rumble, and I haven't uploaded in ages, but I can easily put everything on Rumble. Okay. Let's see. He said that was a bad couple of days. 6 weeks from now, the people of Michigan are going to vote. Are we really going to vote? I think things will hit the fan possibly before that midterm election might happen. He talked about a very good person, a very good woman, and somebody I've known for a long time, like the beginning of Earth, or our knowing of Earth. Most beautiful family I've ever seen. And then he said John James, and he's running for senator in Michigan. And then he said John James. I think he said it 3 times. John James, John James, John James. So we've got J's all over the place, like Junior and John. Remember, they're brothers. Okay, and let's see. She is crazy. And he's talking about Nancy Pelosi. And that equals false reality, because she's been replaced. Let's see. And Karen, hi Karen. And Karen has waited on the real Nancy Pelosi before. And she, at a restaurant, a fancy kind of place. And she's seen her before. And she saw the new replacement, or whatever you want to call it, come in, and it wasn't the same person. So we've got firsthand an eyewitness account that it's somebody different. Let's see. He's talking about the cost of gasoline up 79%. Then he's really into the numbers in this rally. 107 more per month for food, and one likes to drop the zeros, so if you do that, it's 17. And then he said, think of that. When he says think of that, you're going to go back and go, later people will go back and look at things like this and go, wow, he told us. He was if not the 17, at least one of the 17s. I still don't know about that. I thought Junior was the 17, but there could be a bunch of them. Let's see. Oh, I won't go into all this. Talk about housing, transportation. Let's see. So in each phrase, when he was talking about these, the cost increases, he said dollars more for. So he said dollars more for, and then he said housing and gasoline and everything. So the way I looked at it was the commonality between all these things was the phrase dollars more for, and that's 171, and that's a 17 frontwards and backwards, and it equals event horizon and blow your mind. It's going to get quite hairy, everybody. I hope you Hope you know what you're going to do. I don't know. Janine's been talking about it, and she said, if you're one that feels like you can help in that kind of situation, you probably should be in amongst all these people and help. And if she said she feels like she's not good in a crisis, not that she knows that it wouldn't be real, but she's not good when other people are falling apart. So she said she'd probably be by herself. So it's just something to think about. But then again, you don't know when it's going to happen. So that's something I keep working on, like about when. Possibly could be the end of the month during the World Series, but who knows? It also could be in the 17th. And that's a whole other story. Okay. He talked about trouble like wartime, military trouble. And he said, by the way, and he said that it's 6:46, and 46 is Juan, and it's also Diana Spencer, and it's coming, and phase 4, and wheels up. I forgot that one. So it's coming and wheels up, like when you're taking off on a plane, the wheels go up. You get tucked up in there. So, yeah, by the way, and the Juan says that, right? And he talked about the electric bill, how high it's been going. And let's see. He said just in, and I don't have the whole sentence. Just in, and that's 93. It's atomic bomb. And I don't think I have more than that. That was enough. Atomic bomb, right? Fake though, right? And let's see. He said just in the last year and a half. The last year is 134, and it's hell imminent comet pizza, which honestly, now that I'm looking back on it, I think it was a white hat thing. And back then I thought, oh, it's bad guys setting all this up, and not setting it up, but they really maybe were doing this bad stuff in the basement of Comet Pizza. What was it, in Washington? And now I think, from the way I hear it now, with different eyes, or ears, I should say, I think that we set it up just to get people thinking about the possibility that that's going on in small places. Let's see. The last year equals crisis actor, and the last days, and geoengineering. And usually the market crashes at least somewhat sometime in October. That's like typical, and everybody kind of almost expects it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's when this happens. Murders in Michigan, he was talking about. And he said it 2 times, so that's important. Sometimes he says a phrase 3 times. And murders in Michigan is 185, and like we just said, it equals stock market crash and collapse U.S. dollar. Let's see. Carjackings. Oh, he said carjackings in Michigan, and that equals zombie apocalypse. Who knows? Might look like, I mean, I think I've gotten that a lot before. It's been a bit, though. It looks like the aliens are coming, or bad things are happening like that. Just like War of the Worlds from, I think it was 1938. And you should listen to that if you haven't, with Orson Welles. Listen to the original broadcast. And he said Matt several times. He's talking to somebody in the audience. And Matt is 54, and that's code red. And red is 27, and that's JFK. He said, I don't even think you have a choice. Yeah, everybody's going to go through this stuff. Let's see. He said they'll flood the country with tens of millions more illegal aliens. Flood the country. It's going to look like flooding, like rivers, and I'm sure tsunamis. Let's see. Talked about obliterate. That was at 9:15. And when you see things on the 5s, as I call it, it's usually comms. This was at 9:15, and it's obliterate. Then he said military, And then he said, bankrupt our treasury, which honestly, well, the Fed is gone and our treasury won't be bankrupted because I think the reset has really happened and nobody just knows about it yet. Sorry, I feel like I hear him. It's so gross. Ah. I don't know, you guys. I'm shedding. Let's see. He said $7,800, and I think he was talking about costs for the American family. Average American went up. $70 is $7,800 for middle income families, and 78 is Kennedy. October 10/10, and I had maybe my last video was talking about October 10, and I don't know if that's important, but I'm thinking it could be. And that's in a couple of days, so we'll find out, right? We'll just find out together. Who knows? And it equals Armageddon. Lovely, huh? And Armageddon really is just like almost like a veil being lifted, and you can see the truth. So no, I'm thinking that's apocalypse. I got my two words confused. So apocalypse means that. Armageddon means the bad stuff, or the fake bad stuff. And he said, if you get 2 more years of Democrat rule, you might never recover. You may never recover. Let's see. Never recover is 150, and it equals another false thing on a flagpole. Solar storm, electromagnetic, Harry Houdini. All that matches. Never recover, because he said that twice. What's happened? He said 3 times in a row, and that equals 140. This is the end. Doomsday clock. Christmas Day. And it matches a very good man. And he said that earlier. I hadn't decoded that at the time. A very good man. So, Christmas Day. And I had a video not long ago about George Washington, and he was crossing the Delaware and going to Trenton, New Jersey. And that was on, he started on Christmas Eve. He got there, actually, was it the day after Christmas, I think? It took a long time because they had all these ice jams in the river, and then they had to march a long ways. So I'm not sure. Could we have alerts then? Could it be before that? It could be before that. I'm not sure. But they had 2 false alarms that night. Trenton did with the Hessians. They had 2 false alarms. Like I think it was a couple of days before Christmas, and then right before. And then when they had another alert from, I'm sure the outposts that were guarding everything, that was the real one. That was the one they should have paid attention to. And let's see. Okay. He said, before our very eyes, a full-scale assault. And whatever is happening, we're going to see it on our phones or on TV, like an emergency alert kind of. And it's not going to just be one. I'm sure we're just going to see things over, on a continuous basis. So before our very eyes, a full-scale assault, and then trying to wipe out free speech, like water, tsunami, wipe out free speech, crush religious liberty, confiscate your guns, indoctrinate your children. So he brought up children too. And put your political opponents in prison. So that's brought up. And I think and then at 11:20, which was an even number, so it's on the 5s, I think they'd like to see me in prison. They're sick people, he said, 2 times in a row. And of course, we had a Q post, these people are sick. Let's see. The Biden administration is completely corrupt. Well, they're fake. That's when I'm putting, they're fake in there. I mean, John is being a Biden and playing a Biden, and other people, I think, are playing Bidens. And I mean, all those people that are talking in front of the media or getting up on a podium and talking, like John Kirby, Pentagon spokesman, and things like that. They're all fake. They're all replacements that we have in there. The whole thing, anything that they've passed for legislation, it is just not going to hold. So if anybody's worrying about, oh, and now they did this, and now they passed that, it's not going to hold. So it might look like it is, but it's not going to. Let's see. The Soviet Union, let's see, because he said it 2 times in a row. The Soviet Union, now Russia, and the Soviet Union is, because what it is that's 2 phrases making 1 sentence, right? So it took the Soviet Union, that's 196, and the time has now come, and Trump heart attack. So I've been thinking it could look like the Epstein situation, where it looks like somebody passes on in custody, and it's but in this case it won't be real either. So now Russia is the second part of the phrase, and that's 139. It equals my state, New Hampshire. So I don't know if that was for me, probably not this time. And let's see. Oh, I didn't even get anything else. Did I write anything else down? Yeah, I only wrote New Hampshire. I'm sorry. I was excited. And I'm hoping that our big FF here in my area is not a fire. Because I don't want everybody coming around saying, you gotta leave, because I really don't want to leave. I just want to be like, yeah, I'm here. I know what's going on. Yeah, I can just imagine my neighbors coming around going, why haven't you left yet? There's this big fire coming our way. You got to go to the shelter. Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I don't want to fake evacuate. But I'm thinking that our area will have a false flappy thing with, we have I think it's closed, but there's still reactors there, and they still can have issues because there's still material there. So it probably will be a nuclear meltdown or something, or they'll say, oh, they got a cyber attack, and maybe they'll say all the nuclear plants are like melting down because somebody cyber attacked it, Anyway, so I think that, and there was well, I'm pretty sure, it was fake, but there was maybe it was 9 of the tall speakers that they have for the area went off. They didn't all go off. So they said, oh, it's malfunction. And anyway, they went off like a bit ago, and I didn't hear it because I don't live that close or close enough. And so people at the beach and everything were like hearing these evacuate notifications. So they're probably just testing it. And he said, I don't believe we'll ever have a fair election again. I think he's probably saying we're not going to have an election. I think that's what he's kind of saying. I obviously could be wrong. So I don't believe equals 122, and events begin. The end is near. San Francisco, generators, and any day now. Then he said, the rest of the sentence, I don't believe it. Let's see. Don't believe what's happening. That's another way to look at what he said. Don't believe like San Francisco's fallen into the ocean and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, he was talking about the FBI, the pretend thing that happened with Mar-a-Lago. But he said, in an outrageous act of religious persecution and political repression, at that moment he was talking about a man that was supposed to be a father of 7 in Pennsylvania. First he talked about Mar-a-Lago, then he brought this up. He brings up these fake stories all the time where he says, and this happened, and then that happened, and this 21-year-old whatever, and then so many were killed in Chicago, and this was a little kid, stuff like that. And they're all fake. So if you look into them or you look up the stories, they're not real. You can just look up the headlines and figure it out. Yeah, so he's talking about that person in Pennsylvania, and in an outrageous act, like an act, of religious persecution and political repression. And then he looked down over at some nuns and he said, "Sisters, you hear that, right?" Another way of looking at that is Diana and Jackie, sisters, right? They're twins. And then he said again at 12:30. So he talked about sisters, and then right after it was on the fives. Look at these beautiful, incredible sisters. And incredible, he says it a lot. He'll say incredible. And another way of looking at when he says that, it's not credible. So he'll say, "Oh, that's incredible," because it's not credible. Let's see. They were so incredible. And then he went with his hand, he went boom, boom. So we had a double boom, right? And I don't know the whole story, but I guess they probably, knocked somebody over or they hit somebody trying to protect this man. I don't know all the details. But doing the fists like that made me think, yeah, maybe that's part of the story, right? Let's see. Oh, I'm talking too much. He said, "I am their number one target, and I will be fighting for you for a long time." And then the crowd goes wild, and they say, "USA, USA." I think the Trump organization, or maybe you want to just say the White Hats at this point, start these certain chants at certain times, because they seem to be timed in a certain way. I said certain 3 times. I wonder what that is. Let's see. He was talking about some. I recommended and authorized, including the Secretary of Defense and others, 10,000 to 20,000 troops to ensure peace and safety. And that was for January 6th. And he said they didn't agree. And he said this. That means, and then I put in quotes myself, to them, there was no insurrection. And in my opinion, and from a lot of other people, that he signed the Insurrection Act on that day, 1/6/22. So honestly, what that means is we're already under military law and nobody knows it. Nobody has a clue. So when my FFs happened in my little town and the other one that I was talking about, the police are doing things according to what the military is having them do. So the police aren't even coming up with these ideas. The military is going, "Okay, now what I want you to do is X, Y, and Z." And they're probably under severe threats. If they say anything, they're in deep, say at 1750, President Trump said only Trumpers. And twice. He said it twice, and that's 196. And that's, I already did a 196, but anyway, the time has come. But also it matches, do you believe in magic? And let's see, sending out an SOS. Both of these are from songs, both of those phrases. And this is hilarious, matches. Oh, let's see. 17%. But we say we'll get him next time. They're talking about somebody in Michigan that I guess was ahead by 17%, and the Republican opponent didn't win in the runoff. So, but he brought up 17%, and let's see. He said, "But we have no representation on the committee, no right to have lawyers present, no opportunity to cross-examine witnesses." And that's, to me, a 2 witnesses reference. And I've been thinking that there's more than 2 witnesses, and that could be another thing that's changed in the Bible. I mean, there's so much that's been left out, but so many things likely changed as well. And he said, okay, another reason I'm thinking four of them is because that would make sense to me, because it would be, let's see, Diana and Jackie, the twins, and it would be Junior, JFK Jr., who I called Junior, and President Kennedy, because they're twin brothers. So that would be 4. because I've been wondering, well, what's gonna happen to who? And I've been waffling about that. Like, I wasn't sure. But with this, and I don't know where I've got it in my stack over here, but it sounds like, from something I just worked on today, that it sounds like all four of them definitely. So we'll have to find out. I mean, I don't think we'll know, obviously. Well, we don't know anything for sure. These are just theories, right? So obviously I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I'm just working on my coding and all that stuff. Okay. Where was I? Oh, the witnesses. Cross-examine witnesses. And he said, but then right after that, President Trump said no 4 times in a row. So that's like another 4 reference. And 4, I'm sorry, not 4, but no is 29, and that equals Diana. So every time you hear him say no, or even on, if you say on a couple of times, which is more unusual, it's Diana. So, of course, no and on. And let's see. He said many witnesses are lying. So he's talking about, January 6th when he said it. But he's also talking about Revelation 11, which everybody should read. Let's see. And then at 1830, another on the 5s, and 18 for R, people who are in or left the administration. And to me at that moment, I thought in the grave and then out, right? They were in or left, like they were there and then they or were out again. Because he was talking about the witnesses. It's almost like they died, they went to where, they went to heaven, but they came back. So they were gone, they came back again. Some of them gave in to the dark side, fabricated stories. Let's see. And stories. A story that I wanted to fire Ivanka, and he was all huffy about it, and he was like, can you believe they said that about me and Ivanka, that I wanted to how do you do that? How can I? And then he said, how do you explain this to your daughter? Well, he's got the 2. He's got Diana and Jackie, right? And he's got tons of, you and I are daughters or sons or whatever, but you know what I mean, right? So that's kind of what he was referencing. Okay. He said, I would like to thank, at 1950, 19 minutes and 50 seconds, I would like to thank a great woman named Ginny Thomas, with a Ginny. Do you know Ginny Thomas? And Ginny is 69, and it's false, on a flagpole. And it equals eclipse. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a ring of fire eclipse. And I'm thinking, I don't know where I've got it, that it could even be the 10 days of darkness. So what would you think if there was a ring of fire eclipse for 10 days? Wouldn't that be freaky? I'd be so excited. I'd be so excited. I mean, so what that looks like is just like dark in the middle, and then you just see the little edge of whatever the sun is, right? So it would be a little light, but everybody would be freaked out. They'd be staying home, Be a good time to do whatever they had to do, maybe. So, yeah, he said Ginny a few times, and then he said Ginny Thomas, and that happens to be 145, which is October 10th again. And perfect timing. So I don't know. We'll find out right away, because it's October 8th when I'm recording this, so there wouldn't even be any question pretty soon. So he said, Ginny Thomas, is the wife of a great man, Justice Clarence Thomas. I want to thank her for her courage and strength in saying those committees, like she was supporting President Trump about how awful the January 6th committees, which are all fake, are. And she said, they're just like a leaking sieve. And he said that 2 times in a row. and that's 119. And leaking sieve out of that sentence is 119. It equals, so it begins, a big bang of light, Star Wars, because it's going to look nuclear and chemical and all that stuff. Earth is flat, matches. And I think it's not just a reference to the shape of things. I think it's also a reference to the cities and all this stuff are going to look flattened, like just nothing standing. So, like New York, I think I already got some comms about Boston, which I'm near. So if you're in a city, don't worry, it's going to be fake. And then at 2032, and 32 is Eve, and if you reverse it, it's W, which is what another 107 ID when he used to call. She didn't wait and say maybe, I'll give you a different answer. And he was talking about Ginny Thomas, and that she stood up for him for a very long time. And, that he appreciated that she stuck with her guns, or whatever you want to call it, in supporting him. So she didn't wait and say maybe, I'll give you a different answer. And that's kind of like, to me, it's like the Revelation 11 again. She didn't wilt under pressure. That was at 20 minutes, 40 seconds. She didn't, like so many weak people, stupid people, once they wilt, they end up being a witness for a long time. It has been a long time, hasn't it? From the Garden of Eden to now. I know time isn't what we think it is, but still, whatever you want to call it, it's been a while. They brought up witness in a long time. Let's see, and that they aren't going to wilt under pressure. They're going to go through with it. That was what I got out of that. And he said at 2055, they better get there fast, or you're not going to have a Republican Party. And get strong fast, or you're not going to have a Republican Party, and you're not going to have a country anymore. And that, so it's kind of like get strong. Can look at that different ways, like what's going to happen, look like it's going to happen. Talking about the witnesses, likely at this point 4 witnesses, that they need to be strong, and you're not going to have a country anymore, like flattened, right? And he said, Mike Lindell 2 times in a row, someday you'll explain this and everything else, right? And he was talking about how he buys the advertising for My Pillow and it's so successful. You're going to explain all this, right? Well, I think Mike Lindell is one of these guys, or whatever you want to say, Pleiadians. And it's just not by chance. And I've done a whole decode on Mike Lindell. I can't remember what specific things are when I work on these things. There's too many. And but it's all... He's associated big time with what's going on. He's not just like a pillow guy. And likely he'll be one of the ones explaining. And that's what President Trump said. You're going to explain all this, right? I think there's going to be a whole lot of them getting on air, however they want to do it, and telling us what's really going on and what we need to know. And almost like having classes. And then he said, they raided Mike. He said that twice. And then he said, never happened like this. Because it didn't happen. He's talking about an FBI raid that was fake. Never happened like this. And he said, racist AG. And he was talking about an attorney general. I can't remember which state. Was he talking about Michigan at the time? Or was he talking about New York? He might have been talking about New York. I can't remember. And AG is a symbol for silver. And so, we're going to have our money backed by silver. So then I decided to do what I did a while ago. And AG, just look up AG. like a regular general search. And AG happens to be First Majestic Silver Corporation. And it was at only $8.39 at the close. And it happened, when I looked at it, to be up 77 cents, which is Christ. So I'm like, that sounds like a good company. And I'm not I don't know what I'm talking about, so don't listen to me. Let's see, and I can't even pronounce this next part. There was an article, and it said AG. What is acting Eslutsch? I don't know. It's a German word. AKTIEN GESELLSCH. And at the end of that word, it said AG. I don't know. So, but the article was written by Julia Kagan, and I felt like I've seen Julia Kagan before on some of these articles, but I might not have. But look up the people that write these articles that you run on, and you'll find out, is this like a white hat writing the article? And I bet you anything it is. So it happens to me all the time. So Julia Kagan is 87, and it equals junior. So they've been writing about this company, so take that for whatever you want to think about. No, actually, it was an article. This one is an article about this German term. No, it wasn't about the First Majestic Silver. Okay, so it's a German term for a public limited company. This type of company's shares are offered to the general public shareholders not responsible for any company's debts should they go under. So to me, the key thing was not being responsible for debt, kind of like the United States and things like that, in the reset, the GCR, and German, because I think it's going to be a big thing that happens with Germany during this fake WW3. So more AGs on my searching. Let's see. AG Web. It's agricultural news, commodity markets, insights, and weather. And the first article is we've already talked about all this stuff. And we're thinking that it'll look like the food supply, maybe the water supply, all that is poisoned, but likely from terrorism. And so the first article under AG Web Agriculture News, Agro-Terrorism and the Food Supply Chain, that was the title. This is a different world, Rose says, right? And if you want to disrupt a government, disrupt the food supply chain, Andrew Rose says. So, I didn't even write it down. Rose is 57, I think, and it's Mary. So we got Mary in there 2 times. And there was another part in there that said from a guy named Ferrie, Ferrie. I didn't look up everything. And he said, here's what the textbook photo finish looks like in corn. And what's his name? Senator, I can't think, from Iowa. Harry, no. You know who I mean, right? He gives the corn comms, and Jennifer Mack does the corn memes, and Juan calls, and I'm sure more than one, they call the farm produce that the CIA farm puts out, all those, bad guys, they call them corn. Here's what so it looks like in corn, and there was like a photo of corn that was all brown on the outside. I guess that's when they want to harvest it, probably for corn oil and things like that. And then the first thing you want to look for is a little bit of cannibalism at the bottom of each plant. Don't let the word cannibalism scare you. That was in the article, right in the beginning of the article about corn. So I'm sure White Hat wrote this, and I did, like I said, I didn't look up the name, but just listening, just reading that, yeah, they put that in there. Okay, back to president. Oh, wait. Let's see. He brought up 2% or something. That was at 2303. And to me, that was like the two men, the two women that are, the two sets of twins. There's so many things. Oh my gosh. Let's see. He says it's true a lot, right? And that's 112. And it equals decoding my ID. Like, who is he really? Well, he's God. He's one of parts of God. I don't know how you want to look at this. And then it equals meaning I am God. Learn to code. Scare event. What else? We will fail matches. And as you know, I've been saying that in this fake war and all these bad things that are going to look like they're happening, that we're going to give in to whoever's been doing it. It'll look like, oh, the bad guys, will it be China, Russia, who are actually all working together, But it's going to really hit people hard, because it will look like the United States loses and is ruined, flattened and everything. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard, because people are going to just be so upset because they just don't know what's going on. And the reason that the good guys are doing this is because they want to show what the cabal was going to do to everybody. I mean, what they were going to do was going to affect every man, woman, and child. So what they've got to do to show us so that people believe it is have it affect every man, woman, and child. And like back in the Depression, if you have relatives who went through that, they were like scarred, and they never wanted to have debt or anything. And they were very frugal because they knew what it was like not to have anything. Well, what's going to happen with everybody now, after all this gets over with, who knows when, everybody will just kind of be like, never again. Never again. We're not going to let this happen. And we're going to pay attention. And we're going to decode. And we're going to cross-examine these people constantly. We're not going to just let people run the country for us or run our state for us. That's how things got so bad. But that's kind of why, to me, that's why it's got to happen this way, because I honestly don't know if anybody would believe it, that so many big things can get faked, like really big things. What do you mean World War II was, of course people died, obviously, but it was like a production, with two sides of the two cabal families going at each other, but really working together, because they wanted to have this all happen, and they wanted to make money, and they wanted people to die. Let's see, he brought up Fast and Furious. Let's see. And he didn't talk about Eric Holder, but he just had talked about racist AG. And that makes you think of Fast and Furious, which was the gun running program that Eric Holder did as Attorney General under President Obama. And, at least one man on the border got killed, and I'm sure lots of other people did, a border officer. And what they wanted was for the gun running to, obviously it wasn't supposed to be found out that the United States was behind it. And so the gun running was supposed to make it look like, oh, these guns are so dangerous. All these people are, so that they would bring them back across the border, and they would be infiltrated on our side. And everybody would be like, oh my gosh, you got to get rid of these weapons. Okay, let's see. He brought up impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and that to me is President Kennedy and JFK Jr., who was Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. Let's see. They came to the conclusion that there was no collusion. Do you think Biden could say that? I don't think so. I thought that was fun, and I didn't decode it, but let's see. And then he said conclusion. 18 radical left maniacs, and I only got part of the phrase, but he said conclusion. And that to me is like we're in the last act. And Juan was talking with Tom Numbers on Psych Club. I think it was Psych Club, or it could have been the Tom Numbers Show, his other channel. And he was saying that it is happening. It's this October. I mean, I thought it was going to be last October, and I was completely wrong. But he brought up that there would be horrible things in October, but I had forgotten it could be a year later or 2 years later. So I hadn't thought of that at the time. So he said it's happening, and it sounds so intense. So hope you have a lot of chocolate or whatever it is you like under your bed, so you can be happy. Have a piece of chocolate every so often, or whatever you like. And he brought up the death penalty. And he said, let's take Obama. If I spied on his campaign, and then at 3150, he said, if I spied on his campaign, I do think they'd reinstitute the death penalty very quickly. So he's already kind of planting it in your head that, he said like, okay, impeach me or whatever. He's been on Truth Social saying all kinds of things. Well, come after me. Like Juan was saying, he's like the matador putting the red cape in front of the bull and, telling him, okay, come and get me, I'm ready. And that's what but it's also subliminal, and it's implanting in us to kind of expect that this is going to happen. And that's my opinion. So reinstituting the death penalty, that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know when. Is it going to be soon? But Juan said on that last episode with Tom that you think that they wouldn't kill him, something like that. And don't you think it would be before the election? He brought that up too. So Juan is leading us to think that this could happen before the midterms. At least that's the way I'm taking it. Let's see. And, another reason he said, as we should do for all drug dealers. Another reason that's important is, I finally figured it out right when he said it. Now, I've said this many times, but it was like that moment I finally understood. He's referring to the ones who made the poison for Jesus to look dead at the cross. Remember, he took some herbs or something like herbs or roots or something to, like in a potion or something like that, to make him look dead. So he didn't die for everybody, and that's why we're still under the law. And that's why things are so bad, because we've got that sins of the fathers, 10 generations going on. Because if anybody sin, it's easy. If you're under the commandments of God, super easy to sin. And I think, as far as I understand, he looks at every sin equally. It's like one isn't worse than the other, so it could be, who knows what our forefathers did, but I think it's just been passed on and on and on, and it hasn't ended, because we're not under grace, because Jesus didn't die, right? So if you're new, I'm sorry. I know it's kind of a shock, but let's see. So, saying that drug dealers should get the death penalty, well, that's what's going to happen with the beast event in Revelation 11. That's what's going to happen. They're going to die. And like I said today, I think it's going to be the 4 of them. And then they come back. So don't worry. Let's see. It will be stressful, though. I mean, we're going to see it all. And Juan had said, I don't remember when it was, but he's brought it up about the Orient Express, the book by Agatha Christie, and I think Agatha Christie was one of these people. But anyway, Agatha Christie wrote Murder on the Orient Express, then it was different movies, and he said, just like about that plot, Murder on the Orient Express, they all did the murder, because that's how it ends. Turns out not one did the murder, they all did the murder. I've seen it several times, so he's right. They all did the murder. Anyway, so they colluded with each other, to get rid of Jesus. And Jesus knew what was going on. I'm 100% sure right now, anyway. 100% sure for the moment. Does that sound right? No. How many more pages? Look at how many more pages, you guys. I might stop. It's getting so long. Yeah, a little bit more. And, there was a young woman behind President Trump. And she wasn't in a Trump outfit, T-shirt. I think it was blue and white. And that's significant. But anyway, it said Mustangs on the front. And that's 114. And that equals JFK Jr. spelled out. Junior. So that's why she's wearing that shirt. And it equals Trump card, Kim Jong-un from North Korea, because supposedly he was supposed to be sending off missiles, which I'm sure he wasn't, or fake ones. Or it was just video that looked like he was, or it's old video. So 114 is also World War. I have a hard time saying that. And I noticed that I didn't even get that far in here, but he talked about the post office a lot. And when he talks about the post office, it's 114, and that's JFK Jr. spelled out. Okay. He talked about a warehouse, that Bush had a warehouse, Hillary Clinton had the two Bush presidents each had a warehouse where they kept papers. Hillary Clinton deleted 33,000 emails, many of which were classified, but warehouse is 115, and that's currencies and XRP Moon. And I kind of look at it as XRP, and I look at it as Safe Moon. And Safe Moon is another currency. And let's see, it matches Ruby Cute. So that was on JFK Jr.'s sign, Women for Trump. He had written in red ink, Ruby Cute. And so basically he's talking about this other stuff too. Okay. And there was a 38 on her shirt that had, the 114? Can't even remember now. It was Mustangs that equaled 114. So there was the number 38 on her shirt, and that equals new currency. So that's good. It equals end of the world, new Jesus, because that's who Juan is, and vice president. Because that's what he is at the moment, as far as I know. Okay, how many more? How many more pages? Oh my goodness gracious, you guys. And then at 33:30, he said it's all fake stuff. They have fake people, you see. He's telling you right now, there's fake people out there. There's fake people dressed like other people behind him. Let's see, what else can I tell you that's exciting? He's talking about Hunter Biden. Trumpology at 35, and President Kennedy was 35th president. And he said finan and not finance. And that's 44 equals USD, like US dollars, bubble. So let's see. He's saying somebody wants to finance Truth Social and they're being given a hard time. Let's see. I'm just taking too long, you guys. I have to just get... talked about the golden escalator again. And these talked about a sinister and venomous things, like in the garden. Well, he wasn't a snake at first. I think he looked absolutely wonderful. He made himself look wonderful, like a god, like some beautiful, wonderful guy. And then God turned him into a snake to go on his belly in the dust of the earth, right? So he wasn't like looking like a snake in the beginning. But anyway, sinister and venomous things, he said. I have a wonderful son. I think he's got two. A very strong guy came up to me and said, "How do you do it, Mr. President? The abuse you're given." And then President Trump says, "Well, I don't have a choice." And he said that twice. And what it sounded like was a strong guy, because I think Junior was Hercules. And I've worked on that before. And let's see. I took an old dilapidated building in Washington, D.C. called the Post Office Building. I've been there, so that's kind of neat. Had been empty before and after. No, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. It had been empty, and then he looked over to the screen, and he said before and after. And they showed before pictures, and then after he remodeled it. And then he said, before and after, we took pictures. Here you are. So what we're going to see is dilapidated buildings in Washington and all kinds of places. And then we'll see the before and the after. We're going to see the after, the way it's supposed. All these wonderful directors have made all these movies for us that we'll end up seeing that will look so real. I mean, the special effects in regular movies are over the top. Can you imagine with like unlimited funding how these things are going to look? How real it will look when we see it? Yeah, I think I'm going to stop. Oh, no, one more Trumpology. I didn't see this. Okay. At 42:23, he said, someone comes along and says, he didn't say says, S-A-Y-S. He said says, which to me, it must be like S-A-Y-E-S to make the A long. And says is, like I said, it's a Trumpology, or you can call it a Trumpism. I don't know, whatever. It's 69. It equals Mayday, eclipse, false, thing on a flagpole. And that's pretty cool. He did that Trumpology, and it equals that. And the eclipse is going to be really exciting. I just know I've thought there's going to be one for ages now. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. I love eclipses. And I don't think it's going to hurt your eyes. I don't care. Everything has been a lie. So I don't think we have to like hide, they'll probably say, oh, don't look at the sun. Keep your kids from look at it through a little hole, in a paper. But everything's a lie. So I'm not going to worry about it. And I think it's going to be long. I mean, when Jesus supposedly died on the cross, but I think it was another guy, another thief or somebody else, or he was on there for a period of time, and then they gave him something, like maybe when they moistened his lips. Remember that? Maybe that's what it was, because the Romans would keep the people on a cross. That was their punishment for 3 days, and they try to keep them alive. So they were hanging there for 3 days, and that was to keep everybody else in order, so everybody could see them up there suffering and horrible, and they would be like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Look at this is what could happen, But that 3 days, that was what they did. The Romans did 3 days. They didn't do 1 day or part of a day. So that's an iffy thing right off the bat, because all this was supposed to have happened in 1 day. And God made the sun disappear, and to me it's like an eclipse. What time was it? I think it was from noon to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. and then it was bright again. So even then it was 3 hours of darkness. So I just came up with recently the 10 days again, I think it was yesterday. So obviously I'm not sure. I'm not sure about any of this, but it could be 10 days. I mean, if you can do it for 3 hours, of course it could be 10 days. It could be anything. And I think the sun is all messed up and it's fake or it's something's wrong or, who knows? We'll find out. We're going to find out everything. And, so I got that Trumpology. Oh, and he said, we could end up in a third world war. Remember it. Like, it's going to be fake. Let's see. So our country's going to hell very fast. I think what he's really saying is the witnesses are going there, because that's what happens when they die with the beast and everything. They would be in the water and all that. I don't know if they'll be on a sailboat, or it would make sense if they were on a sailboat, because everybody loves sailing in the Kennedy family. Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything earth-shattering? Earth-shattering. Oh, that's a bad phrase for right now. Earth-shattering. He says, how stupid are we? Like, how? That was at 55. So it's almost like, because 55 isn't just JFK, JR, and simple gematria. It's also Melania. And, Diana and Jackie are playing Melania. And it's just funny that he said it at 55. How stupid are we? Like, you people. You knew you weren't supposed to do that. You knew I told you not to touch the tree of life. Well, the tree of life, as you know, if you've been listening to me for any time, the tree of life was the human DNA. So, partaking of the tree of life was eating human DNA. That's what they did. So, but I forgive you guys. You know that. They know that. And they were lied to by the biggest liar ever, So making everything making them think, oh, and I'll be like God, and if I partake of the human DNA, like Satan told me, oh yeah. And maybe it took a long time for him to convince them. Who knows? I don't know. And he said, and I think you're going to be very happy. He said that 2 times. And I think, this is my thinking, after that Revelation 11, the beast event, as I call it, that we're finally under God's grace. And like we thought we were for Christians. I mean, everybody thinks differently. There's different religions think different things. But everybody seems to be waiting for somebody to come back. And the Muslims are waiting for the Mahdi, Mahdi, and everybody's kind of waiting for this almost like the same figure to come back. And anyway, and I think he'll be very happy. And so anyway, I'm wondering if after all that happens, maybe we'll be healed. Like maybe you don't even need a bed at that point. Maybe your DNA is just like all the junk DNA, which Juan said you don't have junk DNA. It's just not working properly. Will be activated, and we're self-healing. Because Juan has said that's what med beds are. They don't heal a person. They adjust your body so that you can heal yourself. So anyway, he said that in the past. Another boy, he did a lot of Trumpologies. He said, falling across, instead of following, because that would have fit in the sentence properly, he said falling and not following. And falling is 61, and that equals QAnon. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about stuff. And he said, no idea who they are and where they came from. He's talking about somebody following. I can't remember how it came. Oh, he said it's an invasion, no different than an army of soldiers pouring across. That was the beginning of it. And it's going to look like all these other soldiers are like literally coming across and taking over Washington and New York or whatever it is. Okay, so yeah, so after he says something that equals 61, QAnon, no idea who they are, where they came from, and it's because everybody's anonymous, right? Although he knows who you are. He already knows who you are. He knows what you're thinking about. He knows what you're doing. And like I said before, I kind of self-edit. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to say that. I'm like a lot more careful now that I think like, yeah, everybody knows what I'm doing right now. Okay. And I'll make you shape up fast. And let's see. He brought up Boston, and because I live near Boston, and he said, instead of mercilessly, he brought up one of those stories about a fake, thing that happened. He said, and in Boston last year, an illegal alien overstayer tried to rob the father of 12 children before mercilessly, not mercilessly, no I, mercilessly, stabbing him 8 times to his death. And anyway, mercilessly, hard to say, is 131, and that's John F. Kennedy. So I thought that's a good way to end. I went way longer than I thought. Hope I kept you guys interested, and I know I had a lot of pauses. I'm sorry. Anyway, I love you guys, and thank you for any donations you guys gave. I do appreciate it. Mr. Handy appreciates it. And I wanted to tell you, I mean, if you've hung on this long, you're somebody that listens to every last minute. And I just wanted to tell you that it was in July, and we lost Rosie. So I was going to do a separate video about poor Rosie, and I just haven't done it. And so it was hard to talk about, and obviously, and it was sad. She was with us 16 years, and everybody said, other people will say, well, she's old and things like that, but it doesn't matter. She was extra special to me and to Mr. Handy too, and she's just a wonderful, cuddly little thing. And yeah, it was just hard. It was really hard. And I said goodbye to her 3 different times. Mr. Handy brought her to the vet, and I said goodbye at the house, and I thought that was it for 3 different times. And she held on, and the vet would say, oh no, she's got life in her. And she'd come home, and I'd be surprised, and happy. And I just didn't want her to suffer, but then, and I hate putting animals to sleep, but of course we've had to do it. And just like everybody, I know how everybody feels because I've been through it a lot. And anyway, I woke up one morning and she had passed on right in my bedroom, just near her little box that she was sleeping in with a little cuddle thing in there, a little blankie. And it was so hard. It was so hard. And I'm surprised I'm not crying, but I just wanted to tell you guys. And that's why I don't talk about her, and that's why you don't see her jumping up or anything like that. So anyway, I hope I didn't bum you guys out. I didn't mean to do that, but I appreciate your support, your prayers for Mr. Handy, for me. And you guys are like family, you know that. And I love talking to you guys when I get on with Tom Numbers chat. Some of you guys get on there when it's it'll say premiere, and that's when he's uploaded a video, and it's the first time that the video has been not uploaded. I mean, if it had been live, you might have seen it before. He puts it on live, but if it says premiere, like when this probably said premiere, if you're early watching it, I'm not live. I'm not doing it at the moment. I've taped it ahead, and I've uploaded it for just a certain time of day, And what happens is it just says Premiere, you know, so I don't want to sound like, I don't know. Anyway, it's confusing. I know it's confusing with YouTube, but I don't want you guys to think I'm lying either, you know, like, oh, I thought she was live. Well, Premiere doesn't mean live. If it was live, it would say live, because a few times I do live. And I want to do one. I want to do one soon, and have you guys, if I tell you ahead of time enough, maybe a bunch of you will watch, and if you have questions, I could hopefully answer some of them, and just talk, you know, and have fun. So anyway, enough rambling. I love you guys. We're going to make it. We're going to make it through all this. And don't worry. Whatever you did is plenty to be ready mentally, physically, whatever. You're going to be fine. Don't worry. And if your family is not listening, there's nothing you can do about it at this point. You just let it go. Everybody, there's going to be so many people across the world that are going to be shocked, obviously. And your family might just have to be one of them, you know, at this point. There's not much we can do. We do the best we can, and then you kind of have to just let it go and not think about it. So anyway, love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.